book of Job is a whirlwind. It's a tempest of emotions, a storm of questions, and a hurricane of faith. From the very first chapter, we are thrust into a world where the ground beneath Job's feet is ripped away, leaving him to grapple with the chaos that ensues. It's a story of suffering, of questioning, of wrestling with the very nature of God. Job's journey is not just a physical one but a deeply spiritual and emotional odyssey. He is a man who has always walked in the light of righteousness, yet finds himself plunged into the darkest of nights. Job, a righteous man, loses everything: his wealth, his children, even his health. He sits in the ashes, his body covered in painful sores, his heart heavy with grief. The man who once had everything now has nothing, and he is left to ponder the reason for his immense suffering. His friends, convinced he must have sinned, offer empty platitudes and accusations disguised as comfort. They insist that Job's suffering must be a punishment for some hidden sin, unable to see beyond their limited understanding of divine justice. Their words, instead of soothing his wounds, only deepen his despair. Then, Elihu enters the scene. A young man full of passion and a different understanding of God, he challenges both Job and his friends. Elihu's perspective is crucial. He is not content with the simplistic explanations offered by Job's friends. Elihu speaks with a fervor that cuts through the fog of confusion. He believes that suffering is not always a direct result of sin, but can be a means through which God communicates with us, teaching and refining us. His words are a breath of fresh air in the stifling atmosphere of despair. He offers a fresh way of looking at Job's suffering. Elihu suggests that perhaps Job's trials are a test, a way for God to reveal deeper truths and greater wisdom. His approach is not to condemn but to uplift, to provide a new lens through which to view the hardships Job faces. He doesn't claim to have all the answers, but his words point towards a deeper truth about God's justice. Elihu acknowledges the mystery of God's ways, urging Job and his friends to look beyond their immediate suffering and seek a higher understanding. This truth transcends the simplistic equation of suffering with sin. Elihu's insights challenge the notion that life's hardships are always a direct punishment for wrongdoing. Instead, he opens the door to a more nuanced view of divine justice, one that encompasses growth, learning, and the unfathomable wisdom of God. It speaks to a cosmic order, a divine plan that we, in our limited human understanding, can only glimpse. Elihu's words remind us that there is a greater tapestry being woven, one that we are a part of, even if we cannot see the full picture. His perspective invites us to trust in the divine, to have faith that there is meaning and purpose in our trials, even when they seem insurmountable. Elihu argues something radical. God is not some petty deity easily offended by our actions. He is not sitting in heaven tallying up our sins and waiting to strike us down. God is beyond our comprehension, His ways higher than our ways. Our actions, while important, have a far greater impact on our fellow human beings than on God Himself. Think about it. When we lie, cheat, or harm others, who suffers most directly? It's not God, who is unchanging and eternal. It's the people around us, the ones we hurt with our actions. Our sin creates ripples of pain and suffering in the world. It damages the fabric of human relationships and undermines the very foundations of justice and love. Imagine a stone thrown into a still pond. The ripples spread outwards, impacting every part of the pond. Our actions are like that stone. A harsh word, a selfish act, a moment of unkindness. These things don't just disappear. They have consequences, often far beyond what we can imagine. This is not to say that God is indifferent to our actions. He sees them, every single one. But His concern is not for His own sake, it's for ours. He knows that when we choose evil, we choose suffering. For ourselves and for those around us. We become entangled in a web of our own making, trapped by the consequences of our choices. At the heart of Elihu's message is a call for humility. He emphasizes that true wisdom begins with recognizing our own limitations and the vastness of God's wisdom. Elihu's words are a reminder that in our moments of suffering and confusion, we must not let pride cloud our judgment. He sees Job in his pain and anguish, demanding answers from God. Job's suffering is immense, and his cries for understanding are deeply human. Yet, Elihu points out that demanding answers from the divine can sometimes stem from a place of pride, a belief that we are owed an explanation. But Elihu reminds Job and us that we are not in a position to judge God. Our perspective is limited, and our understanding is finite. We see only a fragment of the grand design, while God sees the entire tapestry. This realization should lead us to a place of humility and trust. We are finite beings, limited in our understanding and perspective. Our vision is often clouded by our immediate circumstances, and we struggle to see beyond the present moment. This is why humility is so crucial. It allows us to accept that there are things beyond our comprehension. God, on the other hand, is infinite. His wisdom and understanding are boundless. He sees the beginning and the end, the past, present, and future all at once. This infinite perspective means that his actions and decisions are based on a complete understanding of all things. He sees the bigger picture, the intricate tapestry of events that we can never fully grasp. Each thread in this tapestry has a purpose, and each event is part of a larger plan. Our challenge is to trust in this divine plan, even when we cannot see how it all fits together. Pride is the enemy of true understanding. It convinces us that we know better, that our perspective is the only one that matters. But this is a dangerous illusion. True wisdom comes from recognizing our own limitations and being open to the greater wisdom of God. It blinds us to our own limitations and prevents us from seeing the world through God's eyes. When we are consumed by pride, we become like the blindfolded person, unable to see the truth that is right in front of us. We miss the beauty and complexity of God's creation. When we approach God with humility, acknowledging our smallness and his greatness, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of his justice. This humility allows us to see beyond our immediate struggles and to trust in the goodness of God's plan. We begin to see that his ways are not our ways, and that his plans often unfold in ways we could never have imagined. This realization brings peace, knowing that we are part of a divine plan that is far greater than we can comprehend. In this trust, we find true solace and understanding. Section 5. Questioning God. The danger of equating suffering with punishment. One of the most challenging aspects of the book of Job is the question of why bad things happen to good people. Job's friends fall into the trap of assuming that his suffering must be a punishment for some hidden sin. Elihu, however, challenges this simplistic view. He reminds us that suffering is a complex issue, and that we cannot always draw a straight line between sin and its consequences. To equate suffering with punishment is to limit God to a cosmic accountant, meticulously balancing the scales of justice. But God is so much more than that. He is a loving Father, who grieves over our pain and longs to draw us closer to himself, even in the midst of our trials. Section 6. The mystery of suffering, can we ever truly understand? The truth is, we may never fully understand why we suffer. The book of Job doesn't offer easy answers. Instead, it invites us to sit with the mystery of suffering, to acknowledge the limits of our understanding, and to trust in the goodness of God, even when we don't understand his ways. This can be a difficult concept to grasp, especially in a world that craves certainty and control. We want explanations, solutions, a way to make sense of the chaos, but sometimes the most profound truths are found not in the answers, but in the questions themselves. Section 7. A broader perspective. Seeing the world through God's eyes. Elihu encourages Job to look beyond his immediate circumstances and to see his suffering from a broader perspective. He reminds Job that God is at work in the world, even when we cannot see it. Just as a tapestry viewed from the back appears to be a jumble of threads, so too does our lives often seem chaotic and meaningless when viewed from our limited human perspective. But God sees the whole picture. He sees the beginning and the end, the intricate connections between events, the purpose and meaning woven into every thread of our lives. Our job is not to understand, but to trust that even in the midst of suffering, God is working all things together for good. Section 8. The patience of Job learning from suffering and trusting in God. Job's story is not just about suffering, it's also about patience. Throughout his trials, Job never loses his faith in God. He questions, he laments, he cries out in anguish, but he never lets go of his belief that God is good. And in the end, it is this unwavering faith that sustains him. Job's patience is not passive resignation. It is an active choice to trust in God, even when everything seems dark and hopeless. It is a testament to the power of faith to sustain us through the darkest of nights and to lead us towards the dawn of a new day. Section 9. Modern parallels. Echoes of Job in today's world. The story of Job is not just an ancient tale, it is a timeless reflection on the human condition. It delves deep into the complexities of human suffering, faith, and resilience. Job's story is a profound exploration of the trials and tribulations that people have faced throughout history and continue to face today. We see echoes of Job in the faces of those who suffer around us, the victims of war and natural disasters, the innocent caught in the crossfire of conflict, and those whose lives are upended by forces beyond their control. The families struggling with illness and loss, who gather in hospital rooms and at funerals, seeking solace and understanding in the face of overwhelming grief. The individuals grappling with the pain of loneliness and despair, who sit alone in their rooms, staring out of windows, lost in deep thought, searching for meaning and connection. Like Job, we may be tempted to ask, why me? Why do we suffer? Why do bad things happen to good people? These questions echo through the ages, resonating with each new generation. We may struggle to reconcile the suffering we see in the world with our belief in a loving God. In moments of crisis, we turn to prayer, to our communities, and to the natural world, seeking answers and comfort. But Elihu's words offer a timely reminder that our understanding is limited, that there are mysteries beyond our comprehension. Wise voices throughout history have echoed this sentiment, urging us to trust in a higher wisdom, that God's ways are higher than our ways, and that the universe is vast and filled with wonders beyond our understanding. The majestic sky, the sunrise over mountains, and the vast starry night sky remind us of the grandeur and mystery of creation, and that even in the midst of suffering we can find hope in the knowledge that God is with us. In nature, in the support of our communities, and in the quiet moments of reflection, we find the strength to endure and the hope to carry on. Section 10. Timeless Wisdom, the enduring relevance of Elihu's message. Elihu's message is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. In a world often obsessed with self-importance and quick fixes, his words call us to humility, patience, and trust in a power greater than ourselves. They remind us that our actions have consequences, that suffering is a part of life, and that even in the darkest of times, God is with us. The story of Job, and Elihu's wisdom within it, is an invitation to look beyond the surface, to grapple with the big questions, and to find hope and meaning in the midst of life's inevitable struggles. It is a story that continues to resonate across the centuries, offering timeless wisdom for a world desperately in need of hope and healing.